Hey, Elevation family. My name is Brianna Brown, and I'm a new member of this church. Um, I have been given an awesome opportunity to share my story. So, here it goes. Um, so I don't really remember a lot of my childhood. I think there was a lot of trauma there. Well, I know there was a lot of trauma there. And I'm actually in therapy now to try to remember some of those memories and process them. Um, but I do remember always having Jesus in my life. From being a child, my mom and my mom's sisters used to always take me to church in Florida, Virginia. So I was involved in the church from a young age. And I never really got like a strong spiritual connection or anything like that until I started having kids. I have three boys. Trayvon's 9, Nehemiah is 5, and Damani is 2 years old. Unfortunately, right now they're in foster care, but I know that God is providing for us as a family and making a way in our life. That's way bigger than I could ask, think, or imagine. Um, so I want to start off with one story because I've been in and out of jail a whole entire lot in my life, and it's not anything that I'm proud of, but I do thank the Lord for taking me into captivity so many times to give me the chance to get closer with Him. And I can actually say that my spiritual connection started from actually being in jail and with my back against the wall and just opening up a Bible and looking at it and like, wow, this is awesome. I remember seeing like a 40-day plan in the beginning of a Bible the first time I ever opened it, and one of the first times that I went to jail. And I read it in like 3 days. And like I was literally on my knees crying, just weeping, crying out for just love and mercy and thanking Him for showing me what He had showed me through the Word. Um, so one time I got arrested because I was drinking and driving. I really don't remember. The last thing that I had remembered was dropping off my oldest son and pizza to my mom's house in Florida. And so thank God, it was nothing but God that had me to drop off my oldest son with my mom, because my youngest son, that was 2 at the time, was in the back seat in his car seat. But if Trayvon would have been with me, he would have been in just a lap belt, and I'm sure he would have went through the windshield. So I got a DUI for not only drinking and driving, but I wrecked and I totaled. It was like a 2017, maybe 18 Toyota Camry. It was sweet, you could not even tell what kind of car it was after that. Um, and the back trunk, I'm sorry, the back bumper was like all the way inside of the back seat, on the underneath my son's car seat, like inside of the car. And there was glass all in his seat. The window had busted, and praise God, he didn't have a scratch or a bruise, and neither did I. That was a huge wake up call for me, and I was in jail in Florida. They took me to the first jail that I had gotten to, and they had me out there for hours before they even told me what my charges were, if I had a bond or anything like that. Um, so I was like, they're gonna stick it to me hard, because it's taking hours just to come up with the charges. So I wonder what they're gonna be, and I was freaking out. I was like, I don't know if I killed anybody. It was really scary. And so finally, hours later, the Florida Highway Patrol came in, and he read me all the. I had 7 charges. I don't remember what all the charges were, but I know that I had a bottle of liquor in the car. I had pills in the car. I had marijuana in the car. Like, it was just a total mess. It made no sense what I was doing. And So 7 charges. My bond was $75,000. Nobody was coming to get me. And so they took me to the next jail. A few days later, I was given a court appointed attorney. And I don't remember her name. Never did I talk to her one time. Like a few weeks had went past. And I'm like, what's going on? Like, I'm freaking out. And for some reason, I've always had this still small voice in my head, no matter how rough or how hard the times is, that say, just put the work in and I got the rest. So one day I seen an attorney come and speak with another woman that was there. It was a really small jail, so you could like see out to the visitors room. And I just heard put the work in, and I'm like, okay. So I'm like, excuse me, I have a really scary case going on, and I really need an attorney. And he was just like, okay, I'll come back up here tomorrow and see you and talk to you. And I was like, cool. And then he left, and I was like, he is not coming back to talk to me. He don't even know what my name is. I'm sorry, I thought about that before he left, because I was like, my name's Brianna Brown. And so he did come back the next day, and he said, he asked me all these questions. He never charged me a dime to work on my case. And so after being in jail almost 30 days, he had come to the jail and said, so I've worked out a plea. You know, I'm good friends with the prosecuting attorney, and we've worked out a plea so you can get out of jail on probation and yada yada yada. So I'm like, thank God. And the whole time that I was in there, this older lady kept telling me, you know God's phone number, right? And I was like, no, what is it? And she said Jeremiah 33:3. She told me this like 5 times. I was like, why does this old lady keep telling me that? And so I looked in the Bible, and Jeremiah 33:3 says, call unto me, and I will show you great and mighty things which thou knowest not. So I was like, wow, okay, how is that going to help me? But I just continued to call on him. So the day comes that I had to go to court, and it was 3 of us females with the same attorney. And I was riding to court, and it freaked me out because I seen all the ditches and everything around, like where I wrecked at, and like how I could have been dead. Come to find out, another couple that was riding on a motorcycle hit a fire hydrant trying to avoid hitting me as I was spinning around in circles. So that damage was done as well. So on the way to the courthouse, I just keep hearing in my head, last but not least. And I'm like, okay. So I get to the courthouse, and the other girls that had the same attorney that I'd had already signed their plea. They were already gone. And literally I was the last inmate in the facility, the courthouse. I was the last I was the last inmate, period, left in there to be seen by the judge. And my attorney comes in the room, and he says, okay, I have some good news and I have some bad news. And he's like, which one do you want first? And I just start crying. He's like, it really doesn't matter which one I tell you, because if I say a puppy, something about a puppy, you'll start crying. And I just started crying some more. He was like, okay, well, the bad news is you're not going home today. The good news is I switched 18% on my car insurance by switching to Geico. And I was like, that's not funny. Like, I just was crying. I was bawling. And I'm like, so what's going on? And he says, how long have you been in jail? And I said, I've been in jail for 30 days today. And he says, okay, well, after 3 more days, your 33rd day that you spend in jail, they have to release you on your own recognizance, because they didn't file the charges correctly. They didn't file the charges formally, so they don't stick. So they have to let you out within your 33rd day of being in there. And I was crying. I was still mad, that I wasn't going home that day, but not realizing the blessing in that. And then I was just like, wow. So there was 3 of us, 3 days, the 33rd day. I was just like, and then God was just like, next time you better call me, like, Jeremiah 33:3. And I was just like, wow. So then this last time that I was in jail, I'm like very spiritual and I love Jesus. Like I've been through a whole entire lot. Um, my children were actually taken from me because my oldest two were molested by their paternal family, and I was not. I was pregnant with my third son whenever they took my oldest two. So at first they were going to help me. They put us in a hotel room. They're like, we'll give you services to help, um, whatever it is that you need. And 2 days later, they come and ask me to come and make a more permanent and long term plan, saying where you and your kids gonna lay your head that night. So, so I get there and they're like harassing me. They're like, "You're lying. You're making this stuff up. Never did any of these things happen to your children. Your child Nehemiah, he's not having potty training issues. You're just too lazy to get off your butt and take him to the bathroom." And not only that, I was lying and making it up, but also that I was coaching my children to say it. So it's just been really traumatic, and but I do see God in all of the situation, and I was doing things could have that I could have prevented getting my children taken, and I was living a lifestyle that was, um, it wasn't good for a child to be in. Um, so I was in jail this last time, and I just was like, I'm like, when I'm in jail, I'm like not on drugs, I'm faithful to the Bible. I'm reading the word every day. Um, just super godly. And so I was like surfing through the channels one morning trying to find some type of church to watch. And I seen Stephen Furtick on TV. The message was called, I think, Sex is a Good Thing. And he had built the fire on the stage. He he was just pretty much saying like we all have gifts and we need to use them in the correct way. You can't use your gifts in ways that aren't going to help anybody. You got to use your gifts in the right way. So that touched me a lot. And every day from then out, I watched Stephen Furtick at 10 o'clock in the morning. It was only 30 minutes. I was always so mad about that. And like some days I would use other people's TV time. I'd be like, I'll clean for you so I can watch Stephen Furtick, and everybody started, like whispering, laughing and stuff, making fun of me because I wanted to watch church. But so instead of saying I want to watch church, I'd be like, I'm trying to watch my husband this morning and da 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 da. So it kind of would take the embarrassment out of it for me, but it was nothing to be embarrassed about. And then I seen Holly on there, and I was like, well, can't be calling him my husband no more. That's dead. So so eventually some other women started watching it with me, and one woman told me that she was baptized at Elevation Church in Roanoke, and it got me to start thinking like I really want to be baptized and stuff. And I was like, I'm going to that church when I get out of jail. And I had spent from June the 6th in jail to November the 16th. And when I got out, um, I didn't get straight into church. I started using drugs again. I just started down a bad path, and I had overdosed, and I literally had died. It took them like 4 Narcans to get me back breathing. I woke up. All I remember is just being like, Jesus, Jesus, resurrection power. Jesus, please don't let me die. Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. I'll never do this again. My babies. Like, I was just freaking out. And from that point on, I was like, okay, I have a serious problem and I really need some help. So I got into rehab here in Roanoke. And it was the best thing I could have ever done, literally. They allowed us to have our electronics 3 hours out of the day. And so for those 3 hours, I was watching Stephen Furtick, TD Jakes, or Sarah Jakes, or anything, mostly those three. So I got really close to God again, and now I'm in a substance abuse halfway house called The 12 here in Roanoke. It's an awesome program. Like, it's an awesome program to be in. There's so many resources and just the help that you really need here. And So I went to a church the first Sunday that I was here, and I didn't really get much out of it. It was an awesome church, but I just need a message to speak to me. I need to feel like the word is being directed to me, and I'm the reason that the message is there, you know. So then I went to another church that the second weekend, and I really wasn't feeling it, and I was like, I got to get to my church at home, which is about almost an hour away, so it was kind of impossible for me to do that. Um, and then I just think back to asking my pastor from that church. I've always asked him if I can be baptized and stuff like that. And I was told, like, I don't think you're ready, and just different things that discouraged me. And I tried to be different parts of that church and like do a dance team, like just random stuff that I always said I wanted to do that never really happened. And so after the fact that I couldn't get to that church, Elevation popped up in my mind, and I was like, I wonder if I can get to Elevation. So I got on the website, and first thing I did was apply to be baptized. So that was like the best thing I ever did in my life. I also joined an e-group, and the leader of that e-group texted me that same night and just told me about the e-group and stuff. And I asked her, I was like, I'm in a program right now, and I really want to come to church, and I'm supposed to be baptized next weekend. Do you think I can ride with you? And she's like, her name's Lynette. She's awesome. She's like, sure. So she comes and picks me up. She volunteers, so she picked me up at 6:45 in the morning. I was dedicated. I was like, I'm going. So she picked me up 6:45. I was there at 7. I ended up being able to do like a volunteer orientation myself that day, which was just last Sunday. So I was baptized that day. I joined volunteering, and I was just welcomed with open arms. Like, Elevation is such a loving church. It's just, if you've never been, it's somewhere that you want to be. I've never had so much love and worry directed towards me where it was genuine, and everybody there just wants to be a part of your life and a part of your relationship with God, and just bring you to the place that you need to be in your life. And so now I just feel like a whole nother person. Like, literally, I was raised to life, and I wouldn't have this opportunity if it wasn't for Elevation. So I just want to thank you, Elevation Church, Stephen Furtick, Holly, Lynette, Catherine, David. I just everybody that's been a part of my success, because there's nowhere to go from here except up. If you haven't attended Elevation, at least look online on YouTube, Stephen Furtick, Elevation, anything like that, and it'll change your life, literally. So thanks for letting me share my story, and hope to see you around. God bless.